and welcome. My name is Jocelyn and today we are going to be doing my makeup inventory for August of 2019. I filmed one of these in February of this year and another one in July of last year. So this is my third makeup inventory. I also just filmed a declutter series and, well, sort of a series. I think it's a two-part series. It's kind of a total collection declutter. It wasn't too intense compared to what my declutters have looked like in the past, but there were definitely some categories that I did really good in. I don't want to say good, but I was able to get rid of some things that I wasn't using, that didn't suit me well, that didn't really serve a purpose in my collection, or that I was reaching for something else similar always over that one product. So I did pretty good. I'm offering quite a bit of it to friends first, but if there's anything left over, I will be listing those things on Poshmark. But this isn't the declutter video, this is the inventory video. So now that I've decluttered and kind of gotten rid of some things from my collection, I wanted to do an inventory to just take a look at what my collection looks like nowadays compared to the last two updates. I'll primarily be comparing it to the last update, the one that I did about 7-ish months ago. So I'll be sharing with you the number difference as well as some of the new things that I've brought into my collection, and I'm pretty excited. I hope that you are too. I really enjoy makeup inventory videos. I feel like there's a lot of categories in my collection where I have a pretty realistic number. I don't have an obscene amount of like foundations or concealers or primers or powders. I do have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I do have a lot of glitters, as you'll see. I have a fair amount of lip products, but it's a lot less than what I used to have. I used to have a lot more. If you go back to the very first declutter series that I did, you'll be able to see that I've really minimized and tightened down my collection quite a bit, and I've been doing a lot of project panning, so I've been able to circulate through a lot of things that were sitting around in my collection that I liked. They were okay, but I didn't necessarily love, and I wanted to get used up and moved out. So I've done a lot of that, and I feel pretty good about where all of my numbers stand. So if you want to see what I have in each category, number by number, then keep on watching. And without further ado, let's get started. All right, so I have my sheet right here that has all of my numbers from July of 2018, February of 2019, then I've got my column for my current numbers, so I will be able to compare to last time. And we are gonna start with mascara. In February, I had 3 mascaras, and now I've kind of increased that to 5. Let's zoom in a little bit. Now I have 5 of them. I am currently using this Tarte mascara right now and this waterproof mascara, and then this mascara I received from Ulta. It's not really a mascara, it's one of those priming mascara things, and then these two I received, well, I bought during the Sephora VIB sale in a kit, so none of these are actually from my last check-in. They are all new, which makes me feel good. By the end of the year, I'm sure that most of these will be phased out because, you know, I only have the one full-size mascara and it's waterproof and I don't like it, so by the end of the summer that will be gone. This will be gone within another month or so. Sure, I've increased by 2, but like really this isn't so bad. Next, we're going to move on to brow products, and last time I had 3 brow products, and this time I still have 3. In the last update, I had this product and not a backup of the Brow Wiz, but I also had a brow gel that I recently decluttered, and so I still have 3. This is perfectly fine. I would like to get a brow gel, but I am still in the process of researching which one would be good for me, which one is a cruelty-free, possibly drugstore alternative. So if you have any thoughts for me, please leave them down in the comments below. Moving on to eye primers. Last time I filmed, I had 3, and I continue to have 3. This is the only one that I had last time. I did have a Wet n Wild, this same primer, but I used that up and then rebought it right before they were discovered to not be cruelty-free, so I'm trying to use this up. And then this Ofra Eye Gel Primer I got from Octoly and from Ofra for free. Really like this. I do like this, but they're not cruelty-free, and then this is just a glitter primer. So this category hasn't really changed. Next, we have pencil liners. Last time I decreased quite a bit. I went from 16 to 10, and now I have 7. So I went from 10 to 7, which makes me feel really good. Again, just about a year ago I had 16 of them, which is crazy, and then last time I had 10, and now I only have 7. And I've got some really cool shades. I've got a couple of silvers, some really cool blue colors, one black, and then an olive green. So these are really unique, really fun colors. And I only have 7 now, which is great. Moving on to liquid liners. Last time I had 6, and now I only have 3. So this one right here, this Kat Von D tattoo liner in the shade brown, is the only one that is kind of a rollover from the last update. And then I have the Epic Ink NYX liner and the Ofra Verified liquid liner. I really like both. Actually, I really like all of these, but I'm not probably going to repurchase the Kat Von D one, but I would like to find an alternative brown liner. So I went from 6 to 3, which is pretty great. I think that having 3 is a good solid number. Moving on moving on to glitter shadows. Last update I had 7, and this category has increased a lot, more than any category in my collection. Fortunately, I said in my last video that I didn't mind this category increasing. I don't mind having a lot of glitter eyeshadows. This includes loose glitters and like a glitter formula. And you'll see what I mean by that in a moment when I bring them all out. But last update, I only had 7. This update, I have 21, which is definitely a lot. As you can probably tell, these 7 right here were the ones that I had in my last update. I added all of the Zodiac pigments to my collection with the help of my friend Paige, and then these 2 Kaja liquid glitter eyeshadows. I'm gonna count them in this category just because they're kind of similar to the Stila liquid eyeshadows. So this category increased a lot, but this is just a very fun category to me that I don't mind having this much of. Eventually, possibly, I don't know, maybe I'll declutter some of the Zodiac pigments that I don't use as often, but I mean, the chances of these going bad is slim, and I love them so much, and they just bring me so much joy to have them in my collection. I'm still playing around with these Kaja shadows, so it's possible that maybe eventually I'll declutter these, but I just recently got them, and I'm still enjoying playing around with them. 21. Yes, it's a lot, but it's okay. All right, moving on to eyeshadow sticks. Last time I had 1, this time I have none, so I have nothing to show you. So we've decreased by 1. Well, we've completely decreased that category entirely. Next, we have ColourPop Super Shock Shadows. So last time I had a major decrease. I went from 27 to 14, and because of that, I don't know that we'll see that much of a difference, if any, this time. I haven't counted yet, so we're about to find out. Alright, so here are my ColourPop Super Shock shadows. I went from 14 to 13, so I remember decluttering 1, which makes sense, and I haven't brought any new ones into my collection. I am project panning each one of these this year, so I'm working to hit pan on all of these. So the ones that I've successfully hit pan on those 3, and I think that's it. And I'm currently working on this one. So I have the rest of these to work on throughout the year, and I'm hoping to hit pan on most of them, except these ones right here, because these ones are new. Once I hit pan on all of these, then I will break into these ones that I got at the end of last year. So we decreased by 1, and that's perfectly fine. I feel like this is a very manageable level of Super Shock shadows. We've got some really beautiful shades in here, so this feels good. All right, so of course what comes after Super Shock shadows is just my regular single shadows. Last time I had 25, so I had increased a little bit last time. I don't know what my current state looks like, so let's find out. I now have 21 single shadows. Let's see, I know I've added this e.l.f. eyeshadow into my collection, and I think I added this well, did I add this, or was this in last time? This might have been in my collection last time, and I think that might have been it, because I recently decluttered a handful of these single shadows, but the only one that I know for sure I've recently got is this e.l.f. eyeshadow from my friend. I feel pretty good about that. I decreased from 25 to 21, which is a pretty solid decrease. I used to have so many single eyeshadows, and this feels really good. I feel like I downsized quite a bit to a handful of unique fun shades that I really, really enjoy the formula of. This feels pretty good. All right, next we are moving on to single highlighters. Last time I had 9, and now I have 8, so I have decreased by 1. I didn't add any new highlighters into my collection since the last time that I filmed this, so that feels pretty good. I am sort of project panning this, and I was project panning this, so not to the point where I'm project panning the entire pan, but I was just trying to hit pan, because now I decluttered, I think I decluttered 2. I did add this, that's right. I added this into my collection during the spring VIB sale, and I absolutely love this. This is the Fenty highlighter in the shade Fire Crystal and Lightning Dust. That's right, so I added this since my last update and recently decluttered 2 highlighters. So I've decreased by 1 overall. This feels pretty good. I really enjoy all of these highlighters, so feel good about this. All right, next we're moving on to bronzers. Last time I had 3, and I continue to have 3. I did use up a bronzer. I had a MAC bronzer that I project panned and used up, but I also got this bronzer right here for Valentine's Day. This is the Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer, and I really, really enjoy this. So 3, I think, is perfectly manageable. I am project panning this Too Faced bronzer. I may end up getting rid of this by the end of the year, but for now, I am project panning it. Our next category is setting powders, and last time I had 5. I am down to 3. This one right here I am project panning, and then this one right here is pretty close to being used up. I really like this, but I will probably have that used up by the end of the year, I think. This one's still fairly new to my collection. It's the Hourglass one, but I have decreased from 5 to 3, so that's pretty cool. Moving on, we now have blushes. Last time I had 8 blushes, and now I have 7, so I have decreased by 1. I did recently add this Becca blush into my collection, but I also, I think, decluttered 2. So I decluttered 2, added this one in, but I'm still down by 1, which is great. So I went from 8 to 7. All right, we are moving on to primers. Last time I had 5 primers. And now I have, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in here. I've never had a BB cream or a CC cream before, but I did recently add this to my collection, and I kind of use it as a sort of primer. So we're gonna go ahead and include it in this category, which means I haven't changed really. I did use up a couple of mini primers, which is why I decreased by 1. So we're gonna go ahead and include that, which means I haven't changed in this category. This is fine though. This is a pretty manageable level of primers. I would like to get this used up by the end of the year, and then possibly both of these. I'm still testing out this CoverGirl one, so it's possible that by the end of the year I'll have maybe decluttered it and passed it along to somebody else if I decide I just don't love it that much. But 5 and then 5, so not too bad. Moving on to setting sprays. Last time and the time before that I had 3, the same 3 over and over again. Now I have 2. So the MAC Fix Plus is the only rollover from both of those updates. I did use up both of the setting sprays, so they're gone out of my collection, and then I repurchased a deluxe size of the Urban Decay All Nighter spray. So we decreased by 1. We went from 3 to 1, which is pretty good. I think having a spray like this and then a spray like this is good. 1 of each is great. Moving on to concealers. Last time I had 4 concealers, and this time I have 3. So I actually used up, I think, 3 of the concealers that I had last time. The only one that's a rollover from my last update is the Cautious, but this was even new to me as of December. So I'd only had it for maybe less than a month when I filmed that update. And then these 2 concealers, the Bare Mineral one and the NYX one, I added into my collection this year. So these are all pretty fresh concealers, which feels really good. 3, I feel, is a very manageable number. I think 5 or less is pretty good, but this feels perfectly fine. All right, we are now going to move on to foundations. Last time I had 6. Before that, I had 13, so that in and of itself was quite a drop. But last time I had 6, and this time I still have 6. So I used up 2 of the foundations that were in my last update, and the 2 that I've added is this CoverGirl foundation. They were announced as cruelty-free, was it the end of last year or this year? And this used to be one of my favorite foundations, and so I repurchased it and still do love it. So this is a recent addition, as well as this Tarte foundation. I really, really enjoy this. I actually bought this during the Sephora Spring VIB sale, so those two are new. These other four are older. This is pretty empty, but it is in my winter shade, so I'll probably use this up this winter. This is in a project pan, and then once I finish this up, I think I'm going to move this Estee Lauder foundation into that project pan. This is getting pretty old in my collection, but I wore it maybe a month ago, and I did like the way it looked, so that means that it's still in decent condition. There's probably about half of it left, so I would like to get it used up. I'm expecting to be done with this pretty soon, so by the end of the year, I'm hoping to have these three moved out of my collection. So we stayed the same, 6 for 6, and I feel like 6 is good. This is a good solid number. This is a good amount of foundation. As long as I have, I think, less than 10, I feel good about that. All right, next we have face palettes. So last time I had increased by 2, so I went from 8 to 10, and now I have decreased by 2. Wow, really? Wait. Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense. So I've decreased this category by 2, which is pretty great. I ended up depotting an Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit, and so I'm giving half of that away to a friend. And then I kept 2 of those highlights, and then I also decluttered a Morphe blush palette that I really, really liked. I haven't added anything else into this category, so these are all rollovers from last time I did this, and I really like all of these still, or else, you know, I would have decluttered them. All right, next we're moving into palettes. So the way I break up my palettes is I start with what I call pocket palettes, and these are just palettes that are small. You know, my smaller palettes, usually that have about 5 shades in them. I think that some of them might have up to 6 shades in them, but they're all just small. They're kind of like hand palm size. So last time I had 6 of them. And now I have 7. So I have increased this by 1. I did receive this Ofra palette for free from Octoly and from Ofra. This is what the inside looks like. It's a really beautiful shimmer neutral palette. I really, really like this. So I did hold on to this. I'm not mad about increasing this by 1. I love pocket palettes. I think that they're just great. They're just great. I like them a lot. So a year ago I had 10 of these. I decreased to 6, and now I have 7. All right, we are moving on to palettes. I am going to zoom you out a little bit. All right, so let's see. I had increased by 3 the last time I filmed. So a year ago I was at 24. In February I was at 27. I haven't brought that many palettes into my life this year, but I think I was gifted maybe a couple, and then I know that I bought 1. So I really don't know what this is gonna look like, but let's find out. All right, so if I counted correctly, I still have 27 palettes, which kind of sounds right, but also kind of sounds wrong. Let me count them one more time. Oh, nope. Ah, there it was. 28. Okay, that's what I thought. I brought in 1 palette this year, and so I thought I should have 1 more. This one sits on top of my vanity, so I almost forgot it. So I do have 28 palettes. I've only increased by 1, and I think that's fine. As long as I think I have less than 40, then I feel pretty good. 28 is a really solid number. I feel pretty good about that. There we are. We only increased by 1, and that feels great. All right, another category where I have increased quite a bit is single pan eyeshadows. I have been kind of on a journey collecting more single pan shadows. I've been enjoying them a lot and wanting to test out different brands, and I've been loving being able to curate my own little palettes. So like I said, I've increased this, I know, quite a bit. All right, so here are all of my single shadows. Most of what's in this palette up here and then this palette over here are rollovers. This entire palette and then this Lethal Cosmetics palette, these are all ColourPop over here and then Lethal Cosmetics. These are both new, which means I got a lot of shades here that are new to my collection. So let me count everything in here real fast. So last time I had 72 single pan shadows. I'm gonna include everything in here as just a single pan, whether it's a highlighter, a blush, or anything else. Like there's a couple highlighters in here, I think a highlighter in this, a blush in this, but I'm just gonna count them all as just pans. So last time I had 72. This time I have a whopping 116, which is quite a lot, obviously. I mean, it doesn't look overwhelming if I look at it this way. I don't mind this at all. I'm actually planning on adding more single pan shadows to my collection. I feel pretty good about this. I don't mind. I know I've increased a lot, but it's okay. All right, moving on to lip products. We're gonna start with lip liners. Last time I dropped quite a bit. I went from 19 lip liners in 2018 to 9. So I got rid of 10. I don't think I've gotten rid of any more since my last update, but let's take a look. So again, I had 9 last time and I continue to have 9. Let's zoom in a bit again. So I've got a handful of ColourPop. I've got a Huda Beauty. I have a NARS. I have an Essence, and I have, what is this, Wet n Wild or NYX? Wet n Wild, unfortunately. So I'm okay with this. I don't mind this. I could possibly eventually decrease this, but I like to have, you know, 2 different reds, a bright red and then a dark red. I like to have a brown lip liner for my dark brown lipsticks, and then berry for my berry lipsticks. I'm okay with having this and this not changing. So the next category is lip care items. Last time I had 4. I cannot remember exactly what I had in that category, but I know I had a primer, a liquid lipstick remover by NYX. I had a Bite Agave lip mask and a Bite Agave lip mask backup. Now I only have 1 Bite Agave lip mask that I'm using currently. You can see how much I've used. Love this stuff. I don't have a backup right now, so I only have 1. And I decluttered the NYX lipstick remover and I decluttered the primer that I have, so I only have 1. All right, we are gonna move on to liquid lipsticks. I had 27 the last time that I filmed this. I think I decluttered some, but I don't know how much, and I also don't think that I have brought any new ones in. Well, I'm not totally sure. Let's find out. I have now got 23 liquid lipsticks, so I dropped from 27 to 23, which is great, and I know that I've added at least one of these. I know I added this Kaja Cushy Lip paint. I mean, this isn't really a liquid lipstick, but it's not really anything else, so I decided to include it in this category. I think that's the only thing I've added into my collection since my last update, which feels pretty good. I'm trying not to add too many lip products because I have a lot. This feels pretty great. I feel lovely about this. All right, just 2 more categories left. The next one is lip gloss. A year ago, I had 8 lip glosses. The last update, I cut that number in half and I had 4, and now I have 3. I have 3 lip glosses, which feels pretty good. So I actually ended up getting rid of 2 of them, and I added this one right here into my collection. This is a ColourPop lip gloss. So I have 2 ColourPop lip glosses and a Tarte lip gloss. This feels pretty good. I would like to get more lip glosses, but I want to just make sure that I get significant use out of these 3 since I have them. I just want to make sure that I'll use them, and I have been using lip gloss a lot more lately than in previous years, but for now I've decreased by 1 and I only have 3. All right, so moving to lipsticks, this is our last category. A year ago when I filmed this video, I had 50 lipsticks. Last update, I decreased that number to 36, so that was a pretty significant decrease. And now, let's find out how much I have. I now have 25 lipsticks. That's a lot less than I was anticipating. I think I've only added in one lipstick this year, and it was one of these Color Splash lipsticks because they are one of my favorite formulas. So that feels great. I've decreased my non-cruelty free lipsticks quite a bit, which feels great because I just have this NARS one, these 3 Audacious lipsticks, and then these 3 MAC lipsticks. So that feels really great. That means I now have 25, and let's get back at you with kind of some final thoughts, a wrap up, and my final total collection numbers. All right, and there you have it. That is my makeup inventory for August of 2019. I do have some totals here to share with you. So I kind of broke it down in a few different ways. I do have complete and total numbers. So every single item, including all of those single pan shadows, I counted as like one thing each. But I also kind of thought that maybe I wanted to see what the values looked like not including those. So I want to share with you a few different numbers. So if we include every single piece of makeup that I showed you in the video, and we're only going to look at February because that's really what we care about. So in February, I had a total count of 304 products, which is a lot, but including everything, especially every single pan, that's a 304. Now, my number has increased because I've added so many single pans into my collection, as well as glitters. You know, I added all of those ColourPop Zodiac glitters, which is 12. So if we include every single item, my number went from 304 to 333. So I increased by 29, which kind of makes sense because like I added all of those Lethal Cosmetics single pan shadows, and I added the 24 pan ColourPop Rainbow Land single palette. So I added those two, which is a lot of individual products. So if we don't include single pan shadows, so if we take those out of both total numbers, at the beginning of the year, my total number would drop from 304 down to 232 in February of this year. And now I have 217. So if we don't include single pan shadows, my collection dropped by 15. That does include all of the glitters though. So that's pretty good. I mean, the single pans I feel like are kind of a product, like they count, but also like I wasn't mad about adding more into my collection, and I know I'm going to be adding more in the future. So, you know, the real sustenance of my collection, the highlighters, the bronzers, the full palettes, the foundations, powders, all of that, that decreased by 15. Now, the other part of my collection where I didn't mind increasing at all, and the kind of fun side of my collection, which were the glitter shadows and products, I wanted to see what my collection looked like not including those also. So not including those, in February of this year, I would have had 225 products. If I don't include those now, I have 196 products, which means I had a decrease of 29 products, not including the single pan shadows and the glitter shadows. So I just kind of was interested for my own sake to see what my collection, the kind of bulk of my collection looked like without the fun items, the pans and the glitters. But if we do, again, include absolutely everything, my collection has grown by 29 products. I'm not mad about that because I know what areas I don't mind growing in and then what areas I do mind growing in. So for example, I don't want a ton of foundations. I don't want a ton of concealers, powders, bronzers, blushes, those kind of things. I'm trying not to increase my palette part of my collection very much because I do have a lot of palettes. I had, what was it, 28. That's not too bad, but I like that number. And again, as long as I have, I think I said less than 50, but even like 40 palettes is kind of a lot. So 28 feels really good. I like that number, but I'm watching it, you know? Trying not to buy as many palettes nowadays. So I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on everything, and I wanted to share my current inventory with you. So if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you would like to see more content from me, don't forget to subscribe. All buttons are down below. And I think that's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.